I was in investment banking and Liz was working in fashion, and we were making enough to be comfortable and have fun. But it was never going to be where we could take a month off. I could never do that. You could do it, but then like we'd be separated. Wouldn't really be a family. Like
Yeah.
I would come here and drop you guys off, and I'd go back to New York in a couple days.
Yeah.
Just
A
spend
very parallel path.
parallel path. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're here for 7 weeks. Welcome back to STRs the Best. I'm your host, Michael Chang. We're filming these special episodes here in Taiwan, where Liz and I are spending our third month-long trip here. And if this is your first time listening to podcasts, welcome. STRs the Best podcast. We're focused on how to better invest your time and money. And for us, that equation really equals personal freedom with us, with our family. That's really the main topic of the episode today. This is a culmination of a vision that Elizabeth, my wife, had 10 years ago before we got married. And it was something that you wanted to do for a very long time. We're back here, Taiwan, third year in a row.
Yeah. Great to be back here doing our annual Taipei series, which is really exciting. And like Mike was saying, this is something that I wanted to do for our family for a long time. I guess that's a really good way to go back to the origin, the why we are doing this, have both kids with us all the way back to Taiwan for the entire summer. So when I was working at the corporate, after I moved to New York City for school and found a job, I had the golden handcuff, the classic golden handcuff. You have a good job. And every year I get to only see my closest family for about 10 days, 10 vacation days, up to 14 days maybe at that time. It didn't feel right. I didn't go all the way there to pursue a career and end up losing my family, right? They're the closest people that I had. So I always had a vision that to eventually have control of my own time. So I'm able to do what we're doing now, have the control of when I want to spend time with my family and also allow our kids to really experience what I had growing up, which is being really close with the family and enjoy that unconditional love from the family. And I think that's very, very precious.
Yeah, it's something that in the modern society, like we live in New York City full time, it's hard to, and I think that's why a lot of people don't have kids. It's like, it's so hard to get family support. Like, you have to work, you got to make money, you got to spend, you have all these things you need to do. And then you throw a child in there. It's so hard to do. And historically, they live close to home. They had family, friend, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews. They took a big part of that childbearing, child rearing responsibility, and now it's all on the parents.
Hmm.
And I think here we get a little break too.
It really takes a village. It sounds cliche sometimes, but it really does take a village. And I had an experience of that growing up. And I do think this is a really beautiful thing that we can offer to our kids as well.
I didn't. I was born in Taiwan and moved to San Francisco when I was 4, and it was my dad's brother and my uncle. In some points, I feel like that was like a pretty formative experience. Like maybe the person I am today, but like we didn't have that family support. And I see what you have here, and I was like, really like describing it. Then I saw kind of how close your family was, and I was like, dude, I really want the kids to have this. That was the North Star that we had when we launched the business. I was in investment banking, and Liz was working in fashion, and we were making enough to be comfortable and
Yeah.
have fun. But it was never going to be where we could take a month off. Like I could never do that. You could do it, but then like we'd be separated. Wouldn't really be a family. Like
Yeah.
I would come here and drop you guys off, and I had to go back to New York in a couple days.
Yeah.
There's
It
no
will
way I
be
would
a
spend
very parallel path.
parallel path. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're here for 7 weeks.
This year, we actually get to go to Korea too, just the two of us, which I think is really cool. That's something I wanted to do for a long time, just something for us without the kids. And I do think it's important for any family just with a spouse. You should take some time for yourself too. And that was a trip that I envisioned for a year or so. And then this year we get to do it because we have the family support, and they are really happy to step in while we are gone. So we get to do this together.
So let's talk about the cost side. From an income perspective, our Airbnb, it's the high season for our 8 short-term rentals. So in July, they made over $200,000 in revenue, net 50% plus net. So, it's not I don't want to over extrapolate that because, say every month we do that because this is not true. November, December, it's slower, right? February, it's slower. But this is so it's not really like money thing
Hmm.
right now. It's just more of a time and capacity standpoint. We're 12 hours ahead of New York, right? So, necessarily stuff is happening overnight while we're sleeping. So let's talk a little about just like costs, right? How much does it cost for us to be here? Let's just think about like the cost, right? It was the plane tickets, which was like we flew economy. Um, it's funny, one of my colleagues was like, that's like uncivilized. She's like, Michael, that's uncivilized.
It's
Jay,
probably joking, but
Jay said that though. He said that to me. He was like, "You're uncivilized."
it was the right thing to do with the kids. Like
Yeah, I mean,
it
they're
was
too young.
hard.
They're too young. They're too young. We can't leave them in business by themselves. And so that was 8K. That was 8K for the tickets because we bought it like peak oil crisis time. So that's 2K. We have a rent in our apartment in New York that we're obviously still paying, but the cost of stuff here is really low. They're in summer camp and they have swim camp. How much is I don't know how much is that for both of them?
I think for per child, the summer camp comes out to be maybe less than 1,000. So
Really?
two kids per 2K. Just call it 2K with the swim camp
So
together every month.
2K, so 4K.
Yeah.
And in New York, the camp that we were looking at, it was you can't even get those actually because they're hard. They fill up so quickly. Summer for both, it would be 15K easily
For 2 months,
for
yeah.
2 months, right? It's not really a swim camp; it's a one-on-one session. These things are cheaper here. It's $45, I think, per class,
Yeah.
and they both can go in and they have a private kind of swim teacher. And it's 4 days a week. We stay at your mom's apartment, so we don't have to pay for. And then we want that too because it's like, and all your family's close by, so
Yeah.
we get that parent interaction. That was actually pretty nice because like we were able to leverage a lot of the. I think the more you come, the easier it gets. I mean, talk about that a little bit because that was something that I was like, oh, this is so much easier this time than last year.
Yeah, we really just think about how we want to how we want this trip to look like, how we want to spend the time with the kids. Obviously, we still need to work with the time difference schedule versus the US. So we work during the morning and the night. So we do need some coverage help, right?
A
And
lot of coverage though.
a lot of coverage help between our family and then the live-in afternoon we get to spend time with the kids ourselves, very high quality time. So we really just think about what we want to do versus what are the things we think we can use help on and really kind of just
So
you
let's
design.
lay it out. I mean, let's lay it
Yeah.
out there, right? So we get around like 6, whenever the kids wake us up, 6, and then your mom kind of makes breakfast, so it's nice. And then living, she's there. She's not like a nanny. She's more like a we call it in Taiwan, call it pei wan jijie, right? Kind of. She's more of like playmate.
I would say just kind of mother or father's
Yeah,
helper.
like an
She's
aide.
yeah, she's always there, and then if you and then she will play with the kids while we're busy working
But she's never like we never leave the kids with her by
alone.
herself alone. We don't do that. She's just like supplemental help. As we're there doing something, she can occupy the kids. So just like flexible support. But I mean, but now she'll live with us. She like lives at the apartment, and then when the kids are in camp, she does her own thing and then comes back. 6 to 8, we get to spend time with them in the morning, hang out. They eat breakfast. Your mom kind of helps get them ready for school, and then your mom and she can take her to school. They call it Uber, take her to school. 8 to 12 is when we work. I have calls for our mentorship program. I mean, working on the Airbnb business. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're working on the conference.
Yeah, I'm working on a conference that's coming up in September in New York City, so that take a big chunk of time. And also our program, we have a lot of client that we do fulfillment for, so that would also take a big chunk of time.
You're researching our next property and also
Correct.
helping managing the business. We do an hour a day, about 45 to an hour and a half a day each on the business to meet our material participation requirements, right? We have 500 hours that Liz and I
Yeah.
have to meet together in order to take the material participation benefit, to take the STR tax loophole benefit. So really, 8 to 12 is when we work, and then we have lunch together. Sometimes like we'll go,
We
we'll
go
go
to
to
the
the gym.
gym.
We'll go to the gym. We got personal training. How much is that? It's much cheaper here.
I think it was around 1,500 NT, so like
$50. Yeah,
$50.
$50. In New York, it's 180 per session.
150. Yeah.
150. Yeah, then we got a good deal too, which is
Yeah.
150, 200. So it's like, like much cheaper. Liz does it, but here, like we both can do it and it's still like half the price. And then we pick up the kids at 4, they go to swim, and then they're back at 6. Dinner's like prepared or we order. They go down like 8 or 9, and
Yeah.
then I work from about 9 to midnight, and then
Yeah.
that's kind of the day.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
kind of like
So it's a
the
longer day. It's a longer day for me.
It's a long day. I mean, you don't have enough sleep. I still think you need a little more sleep.
I do.
Yeah.
It's busy though.
It is,
I
but
mean,
it's a good thing. I think we make it work. It is something that we really want to do, and we have the control of how we really want to design the life,
yeah.
which is really nice.
Well, but also just the infrastructure of people, right? We have, a system of technology and people in the Airbnb business, cleaner, handyman. We have assistants that help us, right, when we're asleep. So, we're working on it, but also we have a, support system that does that. And then on the education side, maybe just talk a little bit about like customer success, just how we maybe just lay that out a little bit on how the day ends for us, like 12 midnight here, which is like 12 noon Eastern, and then we're asleep for the next 6 hours, and then like our team support. Maybe talk about that a little bit, just how it's structured, just so that how do we support all our clients while we're
Yeah. So for our
traveling
program client, we have our own communication system with them, and we
on
have a
Slack.
on Slack, right? So we have a team of, I would say, almost 10 people supporting the total customer success. And while we are sleeping, obviously we have team that handles client relationship, really make sure everything's on track for them in terms of their progress. Whether they are finding the right market, we are doing analysis for them, or they're in inspection or design. Every single phase of their journey, we have someone dedicated to support them.
Exactly, and I think that's critically important because in one sense, just how you build a business too is we want to make sure we have specialized support at every single stage of the process. And I think this is where having done this together now for 10 years, buying properties, like we really know this process and we know that we want to go really deep, not really broad. Some of the programs are structured where you get like one client success manager that manages like 10 people and do everything, which I find very surprising because like it's a really hard thing to do. I've been doing it for 10 years and I don't know everything.
Yeah.
Maybe they do have just smarter people than me. I know like in order to really be good at this, you want to be go really, really deep in these topics.
Hmm.
So we have like two client success managers that oversee the kind of the entire process. And then we have analytics staff that does the data analysis for our clients that are looking at properties. We have an on-staff designer as they go into contract. We have our operational support
Operation
team
support.
that has managed our short-term rentals in the last 10 years, that our team are trained, right? When our clients, after they go live, they're operating, there's a lot of questions on, tech setup and guest issues, all the things that revolve around running a great short-term rental. And we put those people into the Slack there. So while we're sleeping, right, or even when we're, in New York, we're working, we're doing something else, right? Like there full like 10 full-time people there that are dedicated to our community. And
Yeah.
I think that's why we're able to achieve the results for our clients because we don't put it all on us.
Yeah.
Like we lead it and we're directly involved and we read everything and we jump in, but like we have smart specialized specialists for these areas that we've identified and they know exactly what to do. We staged a program and structured a program in a way that they're available to them when they need it and not overwhelm
Exactly.
people.
And then every morning we wake up, we will wake up to a report summary, what
Yep.
happened the night before while we were sleeping, who needs some support from our end. So Michael and I can always jump in the morning off, right? Really just make sure everyone is covered. All the questions, concerns are being answered. So they're moving along the process. So in a way, it's nice because you almost get a 24-hour coverage from our
You really
team,
do.
just ongoing. We cover the nighttime of New York, and then the team covers the morning time, daytime of New York.
Yeah. No, it's good. And
Yeah.
it's a busy summer. Summer is a summer selling season. So the folks that are trying to get ahead of the year-end rush, because the year-end rush is going to happen after Labor Day. A lot of people are on vacation. They're like, okay, well, why don't we just start buying? Why don't we buy something after Labor Day when we're back? Kids are in school, and then we can fully focus. So there's a bulge of people that are going to do that,
Hmm.
and then to meet the STR tax requirements. Um, and then this group is the kind of like the pre-group that wants to get ahead of that. So we expect a very, very busy Q4. The
Yeah.
so as we look, I think we're gonna go deeper in some of these topics in the next episode. We're recording about 6 episodes while we're here today in Taipei here in the studio. But let's end here with like what was the point of building this? Let's
I,
end with that. What was the point like for you, what was the point of building all this? You married an investment banker, he kind of had to like take a step back and took a lot of risks to get here. Like what was the point of it?
I think the reason why, I would speak for myself first. why we're doing this, I touch on, it's having the flexibility and control my own time. That was initially what I wanted. And then after we have kids, and I realized they are the why too. They are only so young once. And then really before, I think age of 5, 6, you are their whole world. So I think the more time I get to spend with them, it's the better. It really is like, as a mom, as a parent, I feel very fulfilled to be able to provide that for them. So I think that drives a lot of reason why I want to continue to build a portfolio or owning asset that allow me to do all these things, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, I mean, we're very aligned on that point. Something I saw on Instagram, like, I think a very long time ago, it really stuck with me. Like, how do kids spell love? They spell
Mm,
Time, time. Like, they obviously
yeah.
know you love them, but like the way you show love them, I think to recognize that is the time you spend on them. And I mean time like you're just kind of there, you're on your phone or, working on your computer, but actually like engaging with them. And it's a hard thing, and for us, we're not perfect. Sometimes we're on the phone or computer, but I think I think we recognize that, and we're just like, hey, let's put this down and like let's spend time with them,
Yeah.
and having the portfolio, having the financial resources, and the building a business that gives us the time freedom as well. Again, it's not just money. A lot of people have money, but it's also the time, and it has allowed us to do that. I think for me, the why or the whole point of it, definitely the kids part, but just being me personally, I had a sense of the father and the husband and really more the person I want to be. I think here in Taiwan, it kind of comes back to me because my parents left. They were in their 30s. They left with like I was 4, my brother was 7, and I just kind of think back. And I'm like, man, it's like maybe immigrant parents. I think this is like you kind of think about this. It takes a lot to move to a new country where you don't speak the language, you have no money, you don't really have a network there, and uproot your entire lives. Like you're really just doing it for your kids. I think from my daddy, there was like kind of there was a parent that he wanted to be, and obviously there was some shortfall there because like he had to work and there was just not much time. I think for me that was like a really big thing. I think I was always like a hole in my heart and me, whatever, when I was younger, it was like, man, I just never saw my parents who just weren't really that involved. And I was like, well, I, have this privilege of growing in America and having all these opportunities. And like that was the one part that I was like, doesn't matter the money. Like I really just want to make sure that my kids don't have that same hold that I do. So like for me, that was like the point. Like I deeply, deeply care about that point. And the money part, again, the money's money. Like again, I was like, money's money. You can always make more money.
Yeah.
I think
That's
most people
very
listen, you
true.
can always make more money. But dude, like once this time passes, like it's it.
That's
Like they're
it.
just not
Yeah.
gonna. You can't fill that hole later on. Like once it's passed, then it's passed. Like you can't rewind the clock. And some of these topics we'll hit on the next episode. So if it's your first time listening, thank you, for spending time with us today. We're gonna film about 5 episodes here in Taiwan and kind of going through some of the experiences here. If you do like this episode and if you found value, if what we said resonated with you about the value of time, the value of freedom, time freedom, please feel free to share this with your wife, your husband, a friend, another real estate investor that you think would be interested in this topic. And we're gonna hit more on the Airbnb real estate investing side, STR tax loophole, but that was really important just to ground the why, because all that stuff again. And what does it matter? Like, and so for you, just making money, it's fine. But, for us, it's not really just about that. It's the means to an
Yeah.
end. Thanks for listening. And I hope you listen to the next episode.